This right here, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call the horny hype anime of the season. And what I mean is that there's thirst. There's that no matter how much water you give these girls, I do not think a person like Kisara will ever not be thirsty, especially for seemingly her man Shu. As then you also have Aino, the second love interest, who clearly is thirsting over the boy as well, and they are aware of each other and they know what is going to go on, and that doesn't stop the love triangle from brewing. But it's also hype as shit. This is kind of like the action style of Talk Up Destiny that came out rather recently, with the fate draining of the mana through bodily contact / swapping of fluids in order to power up our demon girl, who is a straight up succubus. And the action animation is goddamn impressive, as you also just have a kind of slapstick rom-com fueling and connecting the dots of everything that happens in a course of an episode. And I have to say, this one was fun. A1 Pictures is surprising me this season with 2 originals airing on Saturday here, both of which very well done. I think worth the watch if you ask me. And this one was funny, it was action-packed, and yeah, it could be goddamn horny. I have to admit, this one I thought was going to be fun just because the trailer did give off a positive impression on the action side of things. But in terms of the rest, which would be a majority of an episode, I really wasn't sure what to expect. The synopsis did say it was a slapstick rom-com where the 3 central people involved in this relationship are definitely the odd couple, and, there's definitely going to be some drama, especially if you know anything about the scriptwriter and what he's known to have done, right? So, to me, it sounded like it had potential. I just wasn't expecting it to be, I guess, as goofy as it was, even knowing that it was apparently a slapstick, which it's not a slapstick in the way of just constantly trying to give you jokes or funny moments. I think a lot of it is just because you're the person looking in on this situation from the outside, you get to laugh at it, but the people involved probably aren't, because one's usually picking up the bill for broke-ass Shu. On the flip side, you also just have a lot of uncomfortable situations that you're really happy you're not involved with, but rather just kind of mocking from a distance. What they did a good job with is Shu as a character himself. There's a lot of shows, you can look at recent anime like Rent-a-Girlfriend with the main character Kazuya, who the man involved in the potential why everyone loves him is usually a very insufferable person. And I'm not here to say Shu is the golden goose. He lays the golden egg and he's amazing. He's got money. He's got this or that. No, he's a broke bitch. And even though he does some infuriating things in this episode, they have no money. He continues to spend shit on stuff he doesn't need and money he doesn't have. And the girls in his life are constantly having to pick up the bill for him, to the point that literally Kisara wanted to commit suicide this episode because she believed there was going to be no money coming in. So they needed to take sleeping pills and go up to heaven with each other for her single follower. And I'm pretty sure her single follower might have been our boy Shu himself, but I'll leave that up to her imagination. But I love seeing how it definitely understands a lot of the silliness, but it doesn't stop it from having one hell of an interesting world and an interesting personality. You could say the almost horniness is a mixture of what would happen if Darling in the Franxx met Fate with its kind of swapping of mana. That's where the horny energy comes from, but then it almost has this slapstick comedy meets Talk Up Destiny. There's a lot of different things happening here, but it honestly works if you ask me. One of the coolest things about the world building in this episode is getting an idea of how these kind of missions are taken on from different companies, right? Because when you hear that he has his own company and he branched off from this other company that Aino works at, I really had no idea. I thought he was an inventor or something, and maybe he made weapons for this other girl, and that's how they got into the action. Apparently, they go into this almost virtual realm. It looks like VR that's super realistic, and there's a bidding war. Okay, there's this Class C monster that needs to be dealt with. Name your price, seemingly lowest price, whoever bids the lowest will get to take the job. Most people aren't gonna basically ask for pocket change, because one, they're putting their life in danger, but also it has to be something that's worth their while. And then this man comes in, bids the absolute lowest. I mean, based on the bids, it was 1/4 of the second lowest bid by the looks of it. And then in return, you then get into these action moments. And it was interesting because the way they were summoned, the way they were killed, it had a very glitchy, almost video game-esque mechanic to it. And then when it got into this girl's demonic form, which, I mean, she be thirsty. She wasn't just kissing, she was sucking that tongue left and right, and then in return powers up into Devil Girl, and she kicks some ass and takes some names. But it wasn't even like just that the action was cool. It was the way that they incorporated that love triangle into the mix. Immediately, these two girls start kicking each other's ass in the middle of fighting these monsters. And after that, they then try to kick his ass, and he has to give her, who has the ability to walk through a door, a spare key because she's that thirsty that she wants to feel like she's in a relationship with him. This show is goofy as hell, but it knows it and it works with it. I love these types of shows that aren't afraid to basically say, goddamn, you're probably laughing at the absurdity we're watching, but we're also going to blow you away with some incredible animation and an actually interesting world, all things considered. The fact that this girl wasn't kept a secret from Aino, and the fact that she's aware of her existence, and the fact that a seemingly demon is working with this human who's on his own company and terms like that. Like, I have no idea where they truly want to go with all this, but it has me eager for more. And I have to say, like, this is actually one of the more, I think, blended shows that mixes its like sexual innuendos, its straight up sexual acts into the story when it wants to be both serious and goofy and have it land more often than not. Now, this could be a show that maybe a lot of people end up hating. I have no idea. It's a new show. No one's watched it. Fewer people have watched the first episode of this than they will when a second season starts up for an anime. So I have no idea what people are feeling, but I like it. I actually like the three people involved. I mean, Shu definitely needs to get his finances in order, but I think given how they kind of blend these three interactions, it's interesting, man. I had a grin on my face. I actually would say I am really excited for episode 2. Something that I thought I might like turned out to be something I thoroughly enjoyed, man, and I am so excited to see where they go from here. I love the creativity with the monster design. I love how they blend Shu into the mix with like his gun to the demonic stuff, how he has to work with like a company and they can't afford to hire reinforcements, the bidding stuff, and the fact that he's kind of a broke-ass bitch at the same time. There's a lot of cool stuff going on with the story, and then of course you just have the potential drama of the love triangle, and that shit's going to be entertaining for its own completely different reasons, and it could be its own story in a lot of ways. And the one thing I really love about anime with how it presents its animation style is like they can go really goofy with the faces, and they had some fun ones with dramatic directing with the like slowly quick glances into a character's face until they almost like felt like a volcano erupted, to just the numerous times Shu was like, God damn, I can't believe I'm in this mess. But I like how he wasn't like the super virgin kind of like, oh my, I can't believe we have to do this. He was slightly embarrassed, and I thought it was a little weird at first, given that he was like casually talking to her naked in his bed at one point. But the fact that she really goes in, it felt like not only was she like sucking his tongue from his body, it felt like those fangs of hers might be doing some damage, so then I kind of understood his kind of flusterness prior to the whole thing happening. So I like that he has a bit of confidence and he isn't afraid to maybe milk them for their money for all they're worth, even if it is kind of a scumbag move, all things considered. It almost feels like we're getting 2 quality shows mixed into one, and for that I'm very excited for more. But thoughts if you have any down below. What did you think, whether you were excited or didn't even hear of this one before this video? Let me know what you thought down below. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. Till next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.